you. Yeah, I'll stick with it in a minute and reboot it, and we'll see if we can join it that way. But yes, welcome to everybody. We've got the first of our research methods research seminars today, and I'm really pleased and proud to introduce Dr. Ghazal Sheikh to you all today. So I first met Ghazal when she was a PhD student at the University of York. She's got interests across citizenship education, across language and literature education, with a focus on English, which is very relevant to us because of being TESOL students. I should introduce where Ghazal is now, because she's assistant professor at the Institute of English Language and Literature at the University of Sindh in Pakistan. And she's going to be talking to us today on environmental education through literature and insights from a cross-national study of undergraduates studying Lord of the Flies. And I don't know if you can see this, Ghazal, but I bought my very own PTFE copy. So when I was a student and I was about 15 and I was studying, we read Lord of the Flies in class in Australia. So that's definitely transnational, yes. Even if we were studying it with English as a first language. So I know for all of you, your interest may or may not be in Lord of the Flies. It may or may not be around environmental issues, but I'm sure that you're going to gain something in terms of thinking about how to plan and conduct a study, and also about qualitative research methods from Ghazal's talk today, but maybe also some ideas of like how you can research with students. Okay, take it away, please, Ghazal.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
It should come through the audio should come through. Do you want to just try saying something, Ghazal, to see if it comes through okay?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I'm just going to turn up the volume a little bit here in the room.
I can hold the mic up a little bit as well. Is that better?
You are perfect, and I think it will work even without holding the mic up, because all it was that I hadn't turned the sound up in the room. So yeah, I'll mute me for a bit and we'll hear you, and I will only interrupt if there's a technical issue.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sarah, for inviting me today for this talk, and thank you all for joining us. Today, as Sarah introduced, I am going to talk to you about environmental education through literature. I am Dr. Ghazal Sheikh from University of Sindh. I have been working here since 2017 when I came back from University of York. While I was at York, I formed this collaboration with people from York and Bergen, Norway, and this project is a result of that. So today we are going to talk about the project itself, how we chose the text, the research design, which I think you would be more interested in, being students of research methodology. So I have focused a little bit more on the design itself. And then I would talk about how we move towards an environmental education design and some conclusions and recommendations from our study. All right, so I would like to begin with introducing you to the project. The Sindh Bergen York Reading Research Group, we call it SPERG, is a team of researchers from Norway, Pakistan, and England. We are working on projects regarding undergraduate students' reading of literature. In this talk, I'm particularly focusing on 2 rounds of data that we gathered over 2 years. These 2 rounds that are under consideration, the general design of the project remained the same in both of them. So what we did was we used to set up a pre-reading text for our students, multiple pre-reading texts, 3 pre-reading texts to be exact. Then we asked them to sit in literature circles, assign them specific roles, and talk to each other within their own contexts in the classes. And then these 3 groups of students talk to each other on Google groups, and we called them Google circles. So each group had 2 to 3 students from each nationality, and they used to discuss the text on those Google Docs. So the general design was the same in both of the years, but we tried to change the roles, the readings, and the probes that we set up in the literature circles and Google circles. The overall research question for this study was, how do students in different contexts connect, respond to, and discuss Lord of the Flies through an online exchange? You might notice that the question itself does not talk about environmental education. It talks about the response in general. And then from the data, we came to realize about the environmental education. So as students of research methods, that might be of interest to you. Moving on, why exactly are we interested in environmental education through fiction? Do we need to teach other subjects through literature? This is a very, very well discussed debate in academic literature, in research. So it is common in school curricula to teach interdisciplinary themes through English. My own PhD was regarding teaching citizenship through fiction. So there have been a lot of studies that discuss how fiction can be used as a tool to discuss citizenship, environment, character education, political ideologies. And there are so many studies recently which are talking about eco-criticism, environmental education, eco-pedagogy through different kinds of literature. And that's the sort of dimension that we were exploring as well. Choosing the literary text, as I said, we have been doing this since 2017, and we have been doing different texts. And this time we chose Lord of the Flies because it was being taught in all 3 of the universities, firstly. And it is part of the school curricula. So these education students who are learning to become teachers, they will then be able to use it in their jobs, in their professional careers later on as well. But other than the convenience of it, the other factor that told us that we are actually correct in choosing this literary text is because this is a text full of so many different themes like nature and democracy and group thinking and citizenship. You can talk about all those issues through Lord of the Flies. So that is also a reason why we chose it. Now, I'm not sure if all of you are aware of Lord of the Flies as a novel, but I'll just briefly explain before moving on. This is a novel where a group of boys are abandoned on an island after a shipwreck. And it's a story of their degeneration. Like usually in island novels, island-based stories like Robinson Crusoe or Coral Island, these used to be like very happy stories, but this is a dystopian story as opposed to utopian. And even though it starts with a beautiful heaven-like island where they're using trees and fruits and trying to build shelters and having a fire for their security and for sending a signal, towards the end when they start hunting and littering the island and fighting with each other, towards the end even killing each other and leaving the island completely destroyed and burned, and their own selves degenerated as well. So that's the story of the novel. And obviously from this brief summary also you can tell that there are so many different themes that students could talk about in relation to that text. So the research design, what we wanted to do was basically these 2 methodological steps. First, the students were engaged in face-to-face oral discussions in their class with their peers utilizing preset roles, which is called a literature circle. Then we asked them to engage in an online exchange through Google Documents, which we referred to as Google Circles. Now, the literature circles are spoken, just discussions, and Google Circles are based on that. So the data in the Google Circles was the one that we used for our papers, for our research papers, for reporting our study. So literature circles, all the students in all three of the classes participated. Google Circles were more like voluntary for the larger classes. Literature circles are like professional book clubs with assigned or chosen roles. So in my case, I assigned the roles to my students. I told them that these are the roles that you would take in the first round. And in the second one, I let them choose their roles. Each person has one role and they prepare for it, and then they have a discussion without the teacher. It's a very student-led discussion. The discussion is guided by students' response to what they have read. So they've done the pre-reading, they've read the text, and then they are talking about it. The students prepared their roles independently for the in-class discussion. They did it themselves, and the discussion, the literature circle, lasted approximately 60 minutes in the three local settings. Why literature circles? Why is it important that students should engage in a discussion that's student-led, not teacher-centered? We were hoping, the idea behind it was that we wanted to engage them in a critical thinking and reflection as they read, discuss, and respond to the books. In two contexts, these were second language learners. In England, obviously, they were most of them were English students. But having that that chance to discuss their opinions through those roles was increased collaboration, and it helped guide students for a deeper understanding. Being teachers of English, we wanted to increase that criticality and critical thinking and sense of collaboration and engagement and dialogue among our students. That's why we thought of this activity. Now, the online discussions, so what we did was we used Google Documents, and we added 2 to 3 students of each nationality in one document. And every student was required to make a minimum of 2 entries in the course of 2 cycles. So they were not doing a live chat, it was asynchronous. So the Norwegian students made the first entry, then the Pakistani students, and finally the UK students. It was based on their timetable. This is just one excerpt of trying to show you what kind of what our data looked like. I've anonymized the names. They could comment on each other's thoughts, and the person could then reply to it as well. So it was a conversation that they had about the text. So overview of the 2 rounds. So in the first round, students were given general roles in the literature circles and very general prompts in the Google circles, with no specific emphasis on any themes. In the first round, we did not specify the theme. We wanted to see what the students came up with. Whereas in the second round, the students were given specific roles. They were given like a feminist, a nature scribe. So they could be more specific, and they were given prompts in the literature circles, which were also focused on nature-related aspects, along with some others. Students in the first round did not discuss any aspect of nature in relation to the novel, whereas students in the second round discussed nature explicitly. So just by changing the prompts and the roles, we could see that there was a difference in the kind of responses that we got. Even though there was a lack of eco-sensitivity and meta-language, even in the second round of data, but we argue that teachers' directions after students affect students' environmental education. And we recommend on the basis that setting up further reading and with more directed teaching, it is possible to provide environmental education through literary texts. I would emphasize a little bit on, I'd explain in detail a little bit the kind of roles that we had in the literature circles in the first and the second round. So in the first round, we had these roles. I will give you a minute to go through them, read them, see if you follow. So if you do a literature circle activity with any text, you can use these general roles, like there's a researcher, there's a connector, a word wizard, discussion director. These are very general roles, and the instructions given to a discussion director in the first round were just this, that ask higher order questions and lead the discussion. That's it. So these were the roles in the first round. However, in the second round, we tried to shift the focus a little bit towards nature, towards environment, and we wanted them to focus on that. So we included one role of nature scribe, and the nature scribe was supposed to notice the wilderness, the plants, the animals, and then talk about that. The discussion director, we included this instruction that when you devise those questions, you need to include a feminist approach, a moral approach, and an eco-critical approach. So these were the three that we were focusing on in our prompts, in the Google circles, in our roles, in the literature circles as well. So we had more directed instructions for our students this time. Google circles in the two rounds, like the students were then put into international groups with 2 of 3, like I said, 2 or 3 from each nationality. And the probes in these two rounds differed from each other. In the first round, what elements of the novel did you talk about in your literature circle? General, very general. The second round, please comment on aspects related to the concept of nature, democracy, and feminism in light of your readings and discussions. So the 3 themes that we had chosen are very specifically written down in the roles as well as in the prompts in the Google documents. So we were trying to move towards an environmental design from the first round to the next one. In the first round, which we have now published in Cambridge Journal of Education, two different papers from it, where students were given general roles and prompts, they responded to various aspects. They responded to morality, they responded to citizenship, democracy. The data was analyzed in multiple stages, guided by Braun and Clark's thematic analysis model. We used Braun and Clark's 2006 model, but now I hear that the 2022 one is quite relevant as well. So maybe for the next round, we will be using that. When we work as a group of researchers.
Ghazal, can I just pause you for one second? Because we just lost our speakers. So do you mind if I just play around and I will let you know when we are back with the speaking?
Sure.
Maybe just going to see, like I literally just nudged something on the desk and it went off. So do you want to try speaking again?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, okay, thank you. That's a very good point. Okay, I'm just gonna play around with something. We lost our projection, but give me 2 seconds.
No, I turned off the slides just so I could see video.
Because we were not moving the mouse or anything on your side, the screen got knocked, and that's why we lost it.
Okay. Okay, do you want to try?
Sometimes move it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will keep moving it during the thing. Do you want to try?
Do you need to keep moving? Yeah.
Oh, we're back. Super, brilliant. Okay, I'm so sorry. Please
That's
carry
okay.
on.
Sure. Should I just start from this, or do we need to go back?
From talking about the first round and what they did, and then
Okay, so apparently when it cut out, you were talking about the first round?
Okay. The first round for
Oh,
the
one
literature.
forward.
the same slide, but from its beginning.
Oh, the same slide that you were on before, sorry.
Okay.
Yep, the
All right.
second round.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
just from the first bullet point, if you don't mind. So sorry.
Okay. No problem. Sure. Thanks. So in the first round, which we have now published, we gave the students very general roles and prompts, and they responded to multiple aspects of the novel. So when we analyzed that using Braun and Clark's model of thematic analysis. And I was just saying that we used the 2006 model, but I hear that the 2022 model is very relevant as well. So maybe you can use that one for your studies if you're planning on doing interview data or any kind of qualitative thematic analysis. When we work as a team, it's very crucial that we all agree on the kind of codes that we are allotting to our data. So it was done in a number of stages. In multiple stages, we did the coding. So everyone looked at other people's codes. We did it in teams, and then we agreed on the clashes. So this was a time-taking process, and once we had done that, the analysis of the data showed us that the students talked about citizenship and ethics the most. So morality came up as the largest code. And then we had the historical, social, and political aspects of citizenship, which we put together in the one paper, and the morality put together on another. There was very little mention of nature in this first round. Only 2 students from England and Norway, out of a total of 39, talked about this in one of the Google groups. That's it. Let me just put my charger. Sorry. So, keeping in view the limitation of this first round, we decided going into the second round that we will change our prompts, we will change our roles like we discussed. And this time, the students in the second round made a total of 238 comments regarding nature, which we then divided into 4 subcodes, and we had various different ways in which they interacted with the ego-critical content in the novel. So there were different levels of analysis in the students' responses. Some of them just attached symbolic meaning to natural objects, like one Pakistani student said, fire symbolizes hope. Others were able to see a change in the presentation of nature as the novel progressed, like this Norwegian student said, the sounds of animals becomes less noticeable as the story progresses, and nature becomes more imposing. We also noticed that some of the participants were able to make connections between the novel and their own society. So sort of like a Rosenblatt's reader response kind of thing. They connected what they saw in the fiction with what they saw outside. Um, this supports an eco-critical reading of the book as it mirrors our own society's way of treating our planet's flora and fauna. There were a few who showed some eco-sensitivity as well, but that was only a couple of students. I feel that Golding wrote Lord of the Fly, that's how they wrote it, a warning of human nature and the effects we have on the planet and the evil that is within us. So there was some realization of how we were affecting the environment adversely. There was an intertextual reference to Emerson's essay Nature as well. So it was observed in the analysis of these findings of the second round that the students made sense of nature and its representation in the novel. There was still, however, a lack of knowledge of environmental concepts such as those that we had reviewed in our literature, like critical pedagogy, Anthropocene. They talked about those things, but they were not able to give it that meta language. They were not able to analyze it critically as we would have expected as educators. So we saw the difference that was there in their comments, in the number of comments, in the levels of comments that they gave on the topic of nature once we gave them the prompts and the roles. However, there was still a lack of criticality that needed to be addressed. And we sort of reflected on our own practice as well as teachers, because if they were not aware of the meta language, we had not given them that. So in order to make the students aware of the eco-critical references in the text, we as teachers need to play a vital role in their environmental education. So it can't just happen. It has to be put into practice very consciously, very deliberately. Coming to our conclusions and recommendations, from the generalized responses in the first round to the more specific one, we see the difference that this has created, that our instruction, our input as teachers created on the students' responses. This is very impressive evidence that readings and teachers' directions can in fact impact the way students respond to a literary text. Instruction affects the themes the students discuss in relation to different texts. So the kind of question that we have been indirectly asking ourselves as teachers, like, does it really matter what we say? So this seems pretty good evidence that it does to some extent. So on the basis of that, we recommend that teachers introduce more tools to engage students in a discussion of nature in relation to literary texts, and introducing them to eco-pedagogical meta-language, relevant contemporary readings, in-depth understanding of eco-pedagogy can help enhance their engagement with environmental understanding through literature. That's it from me. These are the references and these are the works that we have published. And I'm happy to share my slides with you guys later if you need them.
Oh, that was fantastic. Thank you so much, Ghazal, and also for coping with our technological issues. What I'm going to try and do now very carefully is to turn my laptop around so that you can see the students, and we can, if you're happy to take some questions, is that okay?
Yes.
Brilliant, fantastic. Okay, so if you